Okay, what's next? Our request to the 2015 state legislature.
Yes.
Who's going to do that?
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the subcommittee of the board, which was yourself, the chair, Member Romero, and I met along with Virginia V. Hill, who is our lobbyist, to come up with strategies, what we should seek funding for from the legislative session that's starting in January. So what we are recapping here is we've already approved the capital expenditure plan or capital improvement plan for 5 years, but we still would like to seek the $2 million in capital funds for infrastructure and learning space improvements, specifically $400,000 for roofing, $750,000 for mechanical equipment, and $850,000 for our water treatment plant. That's already in a plan, and that should go through with the higher education department and should be in the bigger capital outlay bill, hopefully. In addition to that, we'd like to seek $500,000 in capital funds for planning, constructing, and equipping a hydroponic, aquaponic greenhouse for student learning. As you heard from Eric Highfield earlier, we have more students than the demand is greater than we can let in, and we need a much bigger greenhouse. We have a small greenhouse right now. It is really hard even to get the 15 to 18 students we have in there right now. We would like to build a comprehensive greenhouse for that. We'd also like to ask for $400,000 in capital funds for planning, constructing, and equipping an automotive training facility for student learning. And then we'd like to request $500,000 in operational funds to be added to the college's base funding to support the addition of automotive and radiography technician instructional training programs.
Okay, any questions? Discussion? Can we have a motion?
So can we talk for a minute about process?
Yes.
So once we approve a final list, what is the process with that?
Madam Chair, Member Keith, the $2 million is already in process. We've already submitted that through the Capital Projects Committee of the Higher Education Department. What we would do now is go and talk to our legislators about our desires for the two additional capital amounts, the one for greenhouse and the one for automotive, and for the additional operating monies, and try to work with them through Virginia V. Hill and others to try to get a prime sponsor. I think if we were told that there could only be one of those two projects, our priority right now would be for the greenhouse program, because we've got students already in place and we can't serve them as well as we would like. And we do have some opportunities for starting the automotive program at Santa Fe High School. It's not the facility we would really like to have, but that program is not in place yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there?
I move.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, the next item is our Student Government Association and Student Activities budget, which we also discussed in our work session, but could we get a little
Madam
summary
Chair,
of that?
I'll give you a quick summary if I can find it. As you remember, in June, we approved a portion of the student government budget and the student activities budget. What I'm requesting you do tonight is to approve the remainder of the funding for the Student Government Association. It matches their request that was approved back in May. So we've already approved $37,500. I'm asking you to approve additional $39,770. They'll have a total budget for the year of $77,270. Part of that new request is for student conferences, pays for students to go attend various conferences that are approved, supplies and stuff for this, student government meetings, $3,000 that was requested by the Veterans Center to put on some events, their membership in the National Association, and then the rest of our items that will come to student government to be funded and approved. Also, on the student activity side, we approved $20,000 in June, and I'm asking you to approve another $20,000. At the August board meeting, we voted to increase this, effective in January, the student government. First of all, to rename it to the Student Government Association and Student Activities Fee, increase it to $1.50 per credit hour, with 2/3, or basically $1, going to student government and 50 cents going to student activities. So I'd ask you to allocate another $20,000 to the student activities budget. That's all covered by the fees that we will collect from the students this year, so it does not impact the regular operating budget of the college.
And Willie, do you want to say anything?
No, Ron and I, we're working together and try to release freeze the funding, and also all the numbers are agree with we approved in the meeting of May 7th of this year.
So we're all on the same page.
And we are on the same page.
That's great.
I would move approval of Student Government Association budget for FY15
A second?
And student activities, or you would do two?
and student activities.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have some information items. We have people here. Shall we just have some brief comments? Is there anything on the purchases? Nothing
We
there?
have none on that.
Okay, then Yosh. And, okay. Okay, this is strategic planning updates.
Madam Chair, members of the board, President Grissom, I'll make this very brief.
Okay.
You do have an update in front of you from OP about the work that's being done on the strategic plan. Essentially, we've finished with the annual report from the previous year, and we're now moving into the second year of the implementation. And so we are in the process of reviewing the KPIs and setting new targets and reviewing the previous strategies as well to make sure the plan is in place and ready to move into the next year of implementation. The other piece that you have in front of you is an example of a division level plan. OIT went above and beyond in their creation of a plan. It's only a small piece that you have in front of you. And so we're very pleased with the work that they've done, and we're looking forward to bringing some of the other division level plans to you as those are completed. Stand for any questions.
Yes.
What would you say are some of the biggest accomplishments that you've made in this year, that the institution has made?
I think we laid that out in the annual report, that we really felt like the greatest progress was made in Goal 1. There were some other areas where, for various reasons, the progress was not as good, but we do feel like in some of the specific goals in Goal Area 1 that was.
So you set goals annually for each of the goals?
The goals are remaining the same, but what we do is go back to re-examine the measures for each of the goals, the key performance indicators, which are also known as the KPIs. We want to make sure that we're measuring the appropriate thing that's going to reflect correctly on the goal that we're trying to judge if we are making progress on. So because this was the first year of implementation, when that was completed, there were some thoughts about, maybe this KPI isn't quite what we need to be looking at. And so the Institutional Planning Committee has gone back to review those KPIs and just make some minor adjustments.
So in a process question, how do those get moved down or influenced by the implementers?
With each of the KPIs, there's a strategy, and in some cases multiple strategies that the lead people for each of those KPIs help to identify. And then each of the strategies also would have a person that's responsible, that's accountable for ensuring that those things are happening. We're also putting into place this year a much more simplified process for tracking each of the strategies to ensure that progress is being made. So we'll have milestones that are set that we'll be checking in on throughout the year to make sure that there's going to be some movement.
How do the regular rank and file get involved?
The regular rank and file. Well, I believe that by having, we have goal leads, we have KPI leads, and then as I mentioned on down through the strategies. And so there are at all levels people that are involved actively in carrying out the strategic plan. Did you have another comment?
So all staff and faculty members are invited to participate in the institutional planning committee. And so we encourage everybody to participate. We try to actually let the public and actually others know by actually printing out and putting notices through Jack about all the things that's been happening through the strategic planning process. In addition, by cascading it down to division level strategic planning, it gets broken down to actually each individual level, so we all are ultimately serving the mission of the college. And so we actually envision seeing that everybody participate at different components of the strategic plan and perhaps even at a different level. One of the things we're hoping to do this year is to make further improvements in the faculty and staff evaluation process, and perhaps that would be another place we could reflect that there's actually expectation for what part of the strategic plan are you moving forward in that. But that's really, needs to be really worked out with our key stakeholders.
So at this point, what percent of the campus community do you think gets involved?
I think there is a wide involvement by a senior level and middle level managers. I don't think there is as much of a wide involvement from a rank and file, so to speak. And so that would be one of our challenges that we need to overcome over this next coming year.
Thank you.
Following up on that, so if different individuals are assigned a strategy to implement a strategy, it seems like they would have to talk to their colleagues in order for everyone to be working on that.
Talk about the team.
The teams, yes.
Yes, that's definitely true. There's one person that's made responsible, accountable for that strategy, but in a lot of cases there are teams, and even sometimes teams that go across divisions that are working on areas that are common to them.
Mm-hmm. And the goal you're talking about that we've had the most success in is the Empower Students to Succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of that, I'm assuming, is measured by that we have a lot more course completions, more graduation, more certificates, those sorts of things.
Yes.
Madam Chair, as member of the board, Mr. President, that's correct. Last previous year was our record year in terms of the numbers of degrees and certificates that we've completed. There's been some significant improvements made in the area of retention, success of course completion, and with the work through the Achieving the Dream, we expecting to actually even further align that process over the next year in terms of making sure that we're actually working furthering. A lot of things that's going on with Achieving the Dream is actually aligned with our strategic plan. When we had both the leadership coach and the data coach come, they were saying, well, this is a great plan that's really aligned with what we're trying to accomplish through Achieving the Dreams, and they want to see continued movement in that area.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
The strategic plan is pretty much aligned with our budget. Tell me how you're managing to keep the budget in line with the strategic plan.
So the previous year was the first year when we actually attempted to align our budgeting process for new funds with the goals of the college. Over the last several months, the committee met to actually streamline the process even further and make improvements in the process further. And so one of the things we're actually looking to do is make even further improvements in that, and we're waiting for the new VP Finance position to be hired so that we could work with that person to make significant improvements in that area.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Might as well stay, Yash. And so next is the we'll wait on the Santa Fe Community Foundation report, Santa Fe Community College Foundation report, adjunct faculty initiatives.
Margaret's going to do that.
Seems later than it is.
Yeah.
It does feel later there.
Yeah, it feels like about 10.
Chair Siegel, Permanent President Grissom. Very nice board members, all of you. It is my pleasure to be here to speak to you just a little bit about adjunct faculty initiatives that have happened over the past year. So just very briefly, in 2013, the Faculty Senate requested a review of adjunct faculty needs, and a survey was conducted by Yash and the Office of Planning and Institutional Effectiveness in 2014. And as a result of that, we put together an AQUIP action project focused on adjunct faculty. So you can see the key findings from the survey, that adjuncts very much strongly agreed that they needed tech support for their courses during the evening. They needed access to computers on campus to do work. They needed a secure place to store their course materials, locker, etc., and access to an office space during the day. They also needed a private area to meet with students, and they said that an adjunct faculty handbook is important. And they strongly felt that they were not paid fairly for the work that they do as an adjunct at SFCC. So we took this survey, and we heard the adjunct faculty, and we've tried to do something about this and really take action on the results of these surveys. So we extended the hours for IT service desk, and you'll see that we're open later in the evening, as well as on Saturdays. There are laptops available for checkout for faculty. They can check them out for 2 weeks at a time, and they return them, and they can check them out again. There are many more computer stations in the adjunct faculty office, and if you all have not had a tour, much bigger office, thanks to you all. Thanks to your willingness to give up a part of your...
Adjunct faculty member right over there.
to give up a part of your board breakout room to make this happen. But it is a really beautiful facility, and I've had lots of people who've said they're very happy. So here's some nice pictures, and it's in an enlarged office. There are lots of cubicles for faculty to meet with students, for faculty to do work associated with their courses. You can see the little stools there. So there's a stool with each station, so you can have a faculty member and a student there to work together. There are also private offices in the back. You see those doors back there, meeting areas where a faculty member can meet with multiple students. And then there are lockers. Let's see if we switch to the next slide. You can see the lockers here where faculty can store their belongings. And then the mailboxes, that's what you see toward the back of that slide. And then Audrey Lucero there at the front desk. And we are grateful to Audrey for all her hard work on behalf of the adjuncts. So another thing that has happened as a result of the survey, we have created a faculty resource. It's called eCommons for adjuncts. Sutapa Chatterjee and Miranda Merkline, both adjuncts, worked on this project. And it's a kind of faculty handbook, if you will, but it's virtual. So they can go online, and what's happened is they've pulled, I think, a lot of the most pertinent information to adjuncts from what we've had on JAC, and then added some, and that's all in one location where adjuncts can go, and we'll be revising that regularly, revisiting what's there. But they can get institutional information, departmental information, teaching resources, all sorts of things like that. And we have, as you know, increased the adjunct salary matrix by 1.5%. And then we have worked on our adjunct faculty resource fair. In the fall semesters, we have started having more of a kind of a meet and greet, a reception kind of atmosphere. So there's a very brief meeting in convocation together. The president spoke, I said a few words, and then we adjourned to the campus center area, and there are food stations where people can move about and get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then visit with each other. And it's really a wonderful opportunity for people to get together and kind of catch up. And we also had resource tables organized around the campus center, and so it's a wonderful time to get information about idea evaluations, about, adjunct faculty office, about disability services, all sorts of areas, tutoring center, et cetera, that we have on campus available. And we had this little card that Lucia and Audrey created, and we've got places for stickers, and so if everyone went to every single one of the resource tables, they got a sticker for each one, and then they went in, this went into a drawing. And on the flip side of that card is a place for comments, about the event. And you'll see some of those there. But we held a drawing, and there were gifts. People were kind enough to donate gift certificates and things like that. So it was wonderful. We were able to give out, I don't know, probably 8 or so of those. And so this gives you an idea of people's responses. The, times 21 is how many people we had mentioned something about those issues or those items. And so they liked the resource tables. They thought the food was good. They liked the president's message, which was excellent, straightforward, and honest. So this gives you an idea. The mood was friendly. It's really a wonderful thing to do. And my hope is that we can figure out a way to do this for spring convocation as well. We've been having the spring convocation be more of your standard, most of our time spent in the Hemiz rooms, not this reception atmosphere, but there's been some talk of maybe having like a dessert type thing if we don't have a full dinner activity, and maybe we're able to do that, but have the same reception like atmosphere, because I think it's good. And there you have it.
Well, it seems,
Can I
no,
make
go
it-
ahead.
I want to add, the interesting thing about doing the resource fair approach, this is the second time we've done it, we have to ask people to leave.
Yes, it's
They're
wonderful.
sitting there, and it's 7 o'clock when usually there's nobody around. They're all still sitting there talking to each other. So it's turned out to be a great networking activity.
Well, this seems like such a wonderful thing to do to really show our adjunct faculty that we do really value them and care about them, and
It's a really warm
want
and
to
wonderful.
support them more.
And that's when they sign their contracts as well. So Teresa Roybal works hard to get all those together and ready to go. And then Lucia and Audrey have helped with that, Jill Douglas. And thanks also to Henry Mignardo and Alex Lorsino for getting that office looking so nice in there. Yeah,
Great. Okay, any comments, questions? Thank you.
Good job.
thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for the update.
Great. All right, now we have AQUIP. You're just rotating people, Yash.
Good evening, Chair Siegel, members of the board, President Grisham. Just wanted to give you an update on the big self-study that we have to do this year, the systems portfolio. So we will be doing a lot of writing. I went with a bunch of folks to the annual meeting in April, and they changed AQUIP substantially. So it's now the AQUIP pathway. There are also the open and standard pathways. Categories have been reduced from 9 to 6, so some of them will remain the same. The most important one, helping students learn, is still the same. And then we are now on an 8-year cycle, so it'll be a little bit more regular. And we are writing towards a deadline of June 1st of next year. So here are the new categories. They're pretty self-explanatory, fairly similar. Within each category, and I chose this one because Board Member Romero, you always ask me about assessment. So the questions or the category areas in helping students learn are common learning outcomes, program learning outcomes, and then design, quality, student support, and academic integrity. So those are the 6 things that we'll be writing to just under helping students learn.
So can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
How do you define common student learning outcomes? Is this student learning outcomes for anybody who comes to Santa Fe, or is it?
Yes, they're listed on page 2 of the catalog. I can quote 2 of them pretty correctly. The other one is a little longer. One is about active learning and thinking, which kind of involves critical thinking and problem solving. We've had an action project group working on that. They have created, because you can't just measure active thinking and learning, they've created 8 outcomes underneath that, and then a rubric that they can be used to measure. We're piloting that in about 10 or 12 classes this fall, and then we'll expand it. We're focusing primarily on Gen Ed because that's where they get those core activities. The second one is effective communication. And then the third one is very long, and it involves global and social responsibility and whatnot. And Bruno Gagnon and I are going to go to the faculty meetings and see if we can't separate that out into 2, because it's so complex, it's really a little bit difficult to get a handle on.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Sure. So within each question, we have to describe our process. They like diagrams. You may remember that was one of the criticisms we got last time, so I'll be spending a lot of time on Visio and other programs doing diagrams. Then they want to see our results, and then they want us to talk about either improvements we've made based on those results or improvements that are planned. So for example, with the Common Student Learning Outcomes, expanding that more across the campus. And then I'll be doing a lot of research, working with small groups and individuals to gather that information. We'll have data requests, I'm sure lots of them, for the institutional researchers to support that as well. And then we'll draft it. The steering committee will review it, as will various individuals, and you'll certainly be given a copy of it to review if you'd like as well. And that's pretty much it.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's have Deborah Bolt come up now, and then we'll get the enrollment updates and almost be ready to go home. Sorry, Carmen. How much money did you raise for us this month?
Madam Chair, governing board members, and new president, Randy Grissom. Let's see, the last time I spoke to you was about 6 weeks ago, and we've raised $52,212. And that doesn't include the match for the 3 scholarships that were, well, one was added to, but the matching money, this is our last year for the Title V match. And then we have to take a break for a year, and we can reapply to the U.S. Department of Education. But we have our match challenge this year is $180,000. And so all of these scholarships are going toward that match. So we received a grant we've been getting annually from the Hestia Fund at the Santa Fe Community Foundation, not to be confused with the Santa Fe Community College Foundation. $30,000 for the Enlace Gira programs, which is wonderful. We received $5,000. The next 3 items are for matching with Title V. So $5,000 from the brother of Dr. James Miller, whose name is Dr. Lynn Miller, and his wife added $5,000 to their existing scholarship. $4,000 to establish a Sustainable Technologies Career Scholarship, which is one of our new board members, Fred Nugent's, his discussion group decided they would come after having a tour that Randy led, President Grissom led, and it was so successful they created another scholarship. And also when President Grissom went to a dinner party, he spoke to David Van Winkle, who then decided he would create a scholarship. So all of those will be matched 1-to-1 through the Title V. And then over $4,000 from the Hilda Rush Estate for our unrestricted, and very gratefully we received $1,000 from Dr. Romero for our unrestricted fund. Thank you so much. And as you know, I've reported before, we'll give you our unaudited financials at the October meeting. So I wanted to give you a little update on the work that's been done since we had the assessment done by Mr. Huddleston and his group. And it really has energized and motivated that whole process, the board. The board, with the help of the governing board members who serve on our board, and we're very appreciative to Member Cedillo and Dr. Romero, who serve on our board, that 3 priority areas were defined that the board felt they really wanted to work. One is to create a foundation strategic plan that is aligned with the college's strategic plan. 2 is to increase board leadership and development. And 3 was to increase the annual fund. So there are actions that I've listed under each one. For the strategic plan, we're very grateful to the help we've received from Mr. Morimoto and Ms. Gallegos in the development of a strategic plan that's aligned with the colleges. We're in the process of doing that, and more will be worked on at our joint meeting together when the 2 boards meet in November 18th. And also very grateful that the governing board is really working much more closely with the foundation board and looking for opportunities to build the relationships between the 2 groups and to work collaboratively on strategic planning and new policy development. I was happy to see a policy for establishing policies. Under increasing board leadership and development, the Foundation Board has created a new committee called the Leadership and Board Development Committee. We developed a lot of new recruitment materials, which resulted in 3 new board members, which have been a wonderful addition to the board. And you can see the different activities that they've been involved in. Increasing the annual fund, The Philanthropy Committee has restated its goal, which is to assist the SFCC College President and the Foundation's Executive Director in identifying, cultivating, soliciting, and stewarding major donors and prospects, including individuals, businesses, foundations, through visits and personal contact in accordance with performance targets set by the college and SFCC Foundation. So that is a brand new approach to their really deciding to get serious about assisting in fundraising. And then the actions, of course, they've already stated their own component for the strategic plan. They've been working on a case statement with support from marketing public relations. They've assisted in identifying prospective donors that we are bringing to the college for luncheon with the president and a tour. And that's called the Wednesday Luncheon Series with the President. We've got every other Wednesday scheduled with the President through November. And they're already starting to pay off. We've brought in about $10,000 since we've only had about 5 of them, I think. President suggested that we involve culinary arts in the preparation of the luncheons. They're so excited about it. The instructors want to tie this into their tests. So it's part of their instructional program. And we've also asked them to take care of the catering for the banquet. And this is a big deal because a lot of our students make the money when they graduate doing catering. And so this is going to be about 224 people. That's the max that Haymes Rooms will hold.
And when is this?
That's November 14th. It's a Friday. So we had to change the date because some of the students weren't able to attend on a Thursday. It interfered with the class schedule. So that banquet will be the culinary students' final test of the semester. We hope they all get A's. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. They've given us samples of what they would prepare for the donor luncheons, and they're just wonderful gourmet food. So this is under the instruction of Chef Patrick Mars and his class. And then, of course, we're very, very involved in using direct mail and using all of the upgrades that we've done to our donor database for getting personalized letters out to donors. It's not just a broad, give us more money at the end of the year, but it's much more specific to those donors and their interests and their giving patterns.
Now, don't we have a joint meeting?
Yes, we do.
Is that the 18th?
That's November 18th.
Okay, and when are we doing that, like a meeting with the foundation board before, with meal, or what is?
Yes, as we've done in years prior. It'll be a shared meal and a discussion. We're still working out the agenda for that. But part of that would be kind of an overview and orientation to how the foundation has developed and changed. And we have new board members, and we thought that would be a good time to bring new governing board members into the picture, along with our new foundation board members.
And also, I thought one area we wanted to talk about is how the boards could work together more in a meaningful way.
I was just going to suggest that we might want to think about what kind of agenda item we might want to add to that.
Yes.
That would be very helpful.
Yes, okay.
Is there someone I
Well, our reps.
Okay, very good.
But you have to tell us.
I'll give you my ideas. Everyone can give our reps their ideas. Well, I like this report because it really gives us, what's happened between reports and what's happening. This is very helpful. And it's not just our